I have learned Godot for 2 months to make this. Hi everyone, it's Bence here, and let's see what I could make in Godot after learning it for 2 months. To be totally honest with you, the game I made did not require 2 months of learning. Making something like this, even as a complete newcomer to Godot, can be done in less than a week. So, why did it take me this long? Apart from that I am lazy, have a day job and not too much free time. Well, I did not really want to learn Godot in the first place, so this already reduced my motivation. Second, my aim was not to make this specific game in Godot. My aim was to learn it so that I can teach it to complete beginners in a light-hearted workshop in a summer camp. Because of this, I wanted to learn not only 2D in Godot, but also 3D. I wanted to understand how GDScript works, I mean creating classes, defining variables, best practices, etc. I also wanted to create a game prototype that includes the most basic features of a game, such as moving around, collecting stuff, damage and healing mechanics, loading levels, user interfaces, triggers, platforms, etc. And I needed to shrink all these important pieces into a package that can be presented in a less than 10 hours long workshop for people who probably never opened a game editor before. And if I had to make a prototype game like this, why not make it also fit for submission to the July installment of the HEJ 2024 Game Jam series. In this Game Jam series, participants need to make a game for each month of 2024. For each month, there are 3 teams, from which I need to choose at least one, and there is also an extra team for edit challenge. The themes for July were based on a movie, 1D, 2D, 3D, festival, and the extra theme was driving. Games with driving are fun, however, there are much more games without the driving mechanics, and because I have a limited time and I want to create a game that is most approachable to everybody, I dropped the extra theme entirely. Based on a movie sounds interesting, but I had one main issue with it. I am not watching lots of movies. I initially had the idea to create a Lord of the Rings themed game. The workshop will be held at the summer camp of the Hungarian Tolkien Society after all, so at least it would not be unknown to the workshop participants. However, I would have needed specific assets for this, and I did not want to waste time on that. 1D, 2D, 3D has lots of possibilities. One of the main advantages of computer games over physical ones is that dimension can be manipulated freely, which can result in some pretty spectacular games. However, these mechanics are generally more advanced, and my Godot knowledge was nowhere near enough to make something like this. The festival theme intrigued me from the start. I had wild thoughts about a festival management game, or a game where you want to go to a festival but have no money, so the game would have been about bartering something for a ticket, getting the components to build a tent, etc. But again, these are a bit more niche genres than, for example, a platformer, which everybody knows, so at the end the festival became only the set, sort of. In the beginning of the game, we need to get to a bouncer of a festival some coffee in exchange for a free entry. After that, we learn that the members of the band fall into the mosh pit. Yeah, I know I have a strange sense of humor. And we need to find them. Jumping into the pit loads a new level. See, I practice level loading in Godot, which is a very standard platformer level of jump, dodge, collect, heal. Yeah, you cannot hurt the enemies, sorry. As you can see, the assets are mostly from Brecky's Godot tutorial, and the rest are Kenny assets. To be honest, despite all my efforts of learning 3D in Godot, the game prototype for the workshop eventually became an updated version of the Brecky's tutorial game, and there are a few reasons. First, Brecky's game had at least half of the mechanics I would consider the most basic mechanics in any game. Also, Brecky's is a good teacher, so for someone like me, whose only game dev teaching experience is a couple of YouTube tutorials and has never held a live workshop of game development before, following the path set out by a professional was the safest bet. Second, although I generally prefer 3D games over 2D, I had to accept the fact that if I want to make a relatively good looking level as fast as possible, my best option is 2D game with a time map. In a short workshop, time is really important, not to mention that using time maps is easy, so using them would give the participants a feeling of success, which is important for them to stay motivated. So, did the other Game Jam participants enjoy the game? Actually yes, they liked it a lot. They liked the platforming, jumping elements, and gave some feedback about additional features I should include in the workshop version, such as Coyote Time. So with my prototype ready, I was a bit more confident to attend the 2024 summer summer camp of the Hungarian Tolkien Society, where I would hold my first ever game dev workshop. As expected, not everything went smooth. For example, on the first day, we spent about half an hour getting the projector set up. Considering that the whole workshop consisted of 3-hour sessions over 3 days, so totaling 9 hours, spending half an hour just to set everything up is not a good look. Also, the participants did not always arrive on time, so if I am being honest, the net time we spent on actually developing the game was closer to 7 to 8 hours rather than 9. There were 5 participants altogether, which to me seemed like the right amount of people. 4 of them never used the game engine before. One of them did not bring a laptop, but at least she never missed a day, was always on time and made notes. The most enthusiastic participant was a young boy. He would discuss the game mechanics with me outside of the workshops. He also had lots of questions during the workshops. Unfortunately, most of them was due to him lagging behind, but after the last day, he thanked me for being patient with him. And I was there to teach anyway. The game we created at the end became very similar to the prototype, mechanically speaking. Throughout the 3 days, I thought the most basic things, such as how the engine works, how to import assets, how to create a time map, customize inputs, how to create an animated 2D character and basic pickup objects, and then instant death mechanics. They asked me to add coyote time, so we also coded that one. They also wanted to be able to kill enemies by jumping on them. We made something using multiple colliders. It works, but I am not satisfied with the result. We also implemented health mechanics, so enemies now damage the player instead of outright killing them. I was also planning on adding gameplay events similar to the ones I made for the prototype game, such as opening a door when a trigger is reached. However, we ran out of time. All in all, I really enjoyed this workshop. I feel that with my experience in teaching, which is not much, but at least it exists, and my experience in Godot, which is freaking 2 months, I managed to make the best workshop I could, and I am looking forward to opportunities like this in the future. The participants told me they also enjoyed the workshop. I really hope they were sincere with me about this, and found it interesting and useful. As you can see, my version of the workshop game is quite empty, as I was helping the participants instead of making a game myself, but as usual, the prototype game, Secrets of the Mosh Pit, which was also my submission for the July of the HEJ 2024 Game Jam series, can be downloaded from my HEJ.io page, link in the description. As for Godot, there were some aspects I really liked, for example the built-in code editor, the timer node, or the cool functions of the timelines such as loop, autoplay and ping pong. Unfortunately, weird and annoying stuff was much more common for me, such as the use of GLTF, the very inflexible way of accessing nodes from scripts, the fact that one node can only have one attached script, and I also had some serious issues with the UI. At least some of these annoyances came from my lack of experience, that is for sure. 2 months is definitely not enough to learn all tricks a software can offer, but it is long enough for someone to decide if they like that software or not. When I chose Godot for the workshop, I made the right choice. And if I ever need to organize a similar workshop, I would probably choose it again. However, for my own projects, I will continue using Unreal Engine and maybe Unity for all time's sake. I do think that Godot is a good engine, and I hope it will even get better. I think I became a better developer for trying it out and making a few games with it. It was the right engine for this game dev workshop, which means my engine selection process was good. If you want to know how and why I selected Godot to teach at the game development workshop I held, you can see it in this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have found this video useful and interesting. If you did, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one. Bye!